Graduated but still looking for a job? Well, no worries. In this video, we'll give you some practical, actionable tips that you can use to get that full-time job after your graduation. Specifically speaking, we'll talk about the exact resume changes you need to make, 3 unconventional places to target job applications, and 3 copy-paste outreach messages that actually get replies. You ready? Let's go. First one, before we get started with other things, let's understand why most graduates struggle. In my opinion, there are 3 things they usually do wrong. First, they send long academic CV instead of concise outcome CV. Second, they spray and pray on generic job boards. And last but not the least, they never contact the actual decision makers. And that's probably the reason why you don't hear back from recruiters. Well, let's fix that in the next few minutes. Let's start with the step number 1, which is to position your profile. That includes your resume, LinkedIn, and your portfolio. First, let's talk about resume. You don't need to submit a long resume. 1 to 2 page outcome-based resume is sufficient. And when I say outcome resume, it means you need to provide measurable outcomes or results you have achieved in your life so far, whether that's in your academic career or any part-time job you have completed. Also, I suggest you to start your resume with a headline, especially if you're going to use some keywords that you really want to focus on in your job application. So let's take an example of an accounting graduate here. So you can write something like accounting graduate, tax and zero enthusiast seeking graduate accounting role. It clearly tells who you are, what are you passionate about, and what are you looking for. Now you can write it right underneath your name in your resume. With the outcome-based resume, it's important to provide some measurable outcomes you have achieved. So let's say you might have done an internship, again with the same accounting graduate. You could write something like assisted with BAS for 40 clients, all lodgements on time, or build invoice processing template that reduced processing time 30%. Idea here is to give a precise outcomes you have achieved in your life so far. Again, it could be related to any part-time work you might have done so far. But my suggestion would be to give specific examples from the university projects you have completed. And it goes without saying that every job application you're sending out, make sure to customize your resume, include the keywords that are given in the job description in your resume. The second thing is regarding your LinkedIn. Make sure to write an impactful headline and summary in your LinkedIn profile. Headline should match the role you're looking for and your availability as well. So it could look something like graduate accountant, zero in taxation, seeking full-time roles available August 2025. Or if you don't want to specify that, you can use another example like accounting graduate, zero certified, interested in taxation and cloud accounting, seeking graduate roles. Obviously, these are examples specific to accounting students we are giving, but you can customize it based on the industry or the education you have just completed. Now, in a summary, make sure to mention the projects you have completed either in your university or at an internship or workplace with measurable outcomes. Here you can see some examples on how you can actually write the summary in your LinkedIn profile. And last but not the least is portfolio or evidence. Regardless of whether you are studying IT, business, design, engineering, or whatever type of course, you might have done some projects in your studies. And it's important to create a portfolio of all those case studies and projects you have completed. For an example, in my case, I teach Diploma of Social Media Marketing, and I suggest my students to take a note of every single projects they are completing during their studies. I suggest them to create a PowerPoint that will mention the name of the client they were working on, give a background, also mention what skills they learned during that project and what scores they achieved in that project. And by the time they complete their course, they usually have 10 to 12 different projects they have completed that they mention in that specific portfolio. You can create a PowerPoint, PDF, or even just the links if you have created online projects. Now moving on to the step 2, which is where to apply. Obviously, there are job boards out there like Seek, Indeed, Adzuna. I don't need to mention them. I'm sure most of you already know about it. I'm going to tell you 3 other approaches that you should take to get that graduate role. The first one is employer targeted approach. Means you directly reach out to the employers. So ideally you should make a list of 15 to 20 employers in your industry. And rather than looking for jobs on different job boards, you directly reach out to the hiring manager or team leaders. You might wonder how to find them. Well, good question. You can find that information on the company's own website or via LinkedIn. Look for About section in a company page or go to the company profile on LinkedIn and find out the relevant people you need to speak to. The second approach is graduate programs. Yes, there are many graduate programs that are available for international students in Australia. These are competitive, but they are designed specifically for new graduates. My suggestion would be to start finding these graduate programs while you are still studying and know exactly when they're going to open and when they're going to close. Luckily, there are some graduate programs that are still accepting applications. If you would like to know more about it, we have just written an article on graduate programs, internships, and vacation programs that are closing soon in Australia. Need a link of that? It will be in the description box below. But wait before you click that. There's more things we need to discuss. Now, last but not the least, there are other channels that work quietly behind the scenes. That includes your university alumni network. Yeah, you must join that network. Local industry associations in your industry. For example, in accounting, it's like CPA or CA, specialized recruiters who hire people in your industry, and also some targeted meetups, career fairs, and exhibitions. You need to find those events happening in your industry around your city. Now, a quick tip here, rather than sending hundreds of applications every single day, spend some time and apply and target one specific employer every day. And make sure to keep a track of your job applications as well. Just create a simple spreadsheet for that. Just in case you don't know who's calling you for job interview, you can refer to that spreadsheet quickly. Now, moving on to the step 3, which is outreaching messages. Some of you might not know what is outreach message. So outreach messages are direct messages you send to the HR professionals or recruiters. Usually you can send it through LinkedIn or via email. Now, idea here is to express your interest for a job application or ask for an advice or just explore opportunities. Now, don't worry, we have got you sorted. You can use these copy paste messages that we are going to show you on screen right now. First one, look at the LinkedIn connection request. So idea here is to connect with a person or recruiter through LinkedIn. And while you're sending a connection request, you will send this message along with that. So tip here is don't just send a connection request. Make sure to include a personalized message along with that. I personally feel it's easier to do it on desktop. And once they're connected, then you can send them a follow-up message as well. Now, the next way is to connect via email, especially if you are going to connect with the hiring manager of a company. Make sure to include a catchy subject line when you're writing this email. And in the email body, you will show your express of interest and attach your resume and your portfolio as well. And mention about the time frame here as well, that it might take only 10 minutes of their time. So you'll appreciate if they can spend that time. Now, last but not the least, one more message here. Now, in case you want to approach recruiters directly instead of hiring managers, you can send a short message to them along with your availability. Trust me, there are not many students who follow this outreach messaging approach. So you need to get working on that. Now, step 4 is regarding interviews. Let's say a recruiter picked up your resume and they liked what you sent. Now they might have called you for an interview. In that case, just one important thing to keep in mind is that the interviewer or the recruiter knows that you don't have a lot of work experience. So the interviews are generally not about your work experience. It is rather for a fit and potential. So they are looking for whether you are a right fit for the company or you have a potential to grow in the company. And that's what exactly you need to show in your interview. Make sure your answers are short and structured. If you're not sure which structure to follow, just follow the STAR method, which is situation, task, action, and result. So you can follow this example that's coming up on screen. That explains about what situation you were in, what tasks you were responsible for, what actions you took to overcome the problem or challenge, or how you completed that task, and what was the result of the task. This gives you a bit of insight regarding how to use STAR method during the interview session. If you would like me to make a specific video on STAR method, we can do that. Just let me know in the comments about it. During the interviews, also show your learning velocity, which means how quickly you can learn to implement things. And always close the interview by saying something like, I'm really interested in the job. What would the next steps look like? And when you might need someone to start. That moves the conversation toward the timing and hiring decisions. And also always make sure to prepare a couple of good questions that you need to ask during the interview. So what challenges their current team is facing? And one question about the success measure for the first 6 months of your job role if you get selected. So in case you get hired, what will be the success measure for your performance? This is a psychological trick that shows that you think like a hired person. Moving on to the last step now, which is about turning your short-term roles like internship and graduate programs into full-time roles. Now you might get lucky and get a hand on an internship or a graduate program. Now make sure do not miss that opportunity. Try your best to convert that into full-time role. How to do it? Let's talk about that. Let's take an example. You are doing an internship only for 8 weeks. In week 1 to 4, I suggest you to document every quick win that you had, which means what you fixed, what you improved for the employer during those 4 weeks. Keep a note of that and any other contribution you are making during those 4 weeks. Now, around week 6 and 7 of your internship, make sure to request a growth meeting with your manager where you go and ask to review your performance during that time frame, and then discuss about an opportunity for a permanent role in the company. Here you can share your notes you have taken during the last few weeks regarding your wins and contributions, and ask for suggestions for your career and further next steps. One important thing is, if you get a hand-on internship or a graduate program, be proactive. Volunteer for any projects that are out there. Doesn't matter challenging, easy, boring, or too difficult. Just put your hand out for any opportunity that comes along the way and try to help as much as you can, and regularly ask for feedback. So these were very specific steps I suggest you to follow when you're doing your job applications, especially after graduation in Australia. If you need a templates for all these messages that I have shown you during this video, any other useful links will be in the description box below as well, so make sure to check them out. And once you try these methods, I would love to hear your feedback regarding that as well. And if you're a new subscriber to the channel, make sure to subscribe, as we regularly create content that's specifically focused on international student needs in Australia. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.